your screens off or leave them on. I know people do both, and it's really just whatever is the most comfortable for you guys. So I will leave that up to you. But we're going to get started lying down today. So go ahead and start to lie down onto your mat on your back if that feels comfortable. But I always like to let people know that it's really up to you. So lying on your back doesn't feel comfortable for everyone. If that's you, then find a shape that does feel comfortable. Maybe you're coming onto your side. Maybe you're bending your knees and keeping your feet on the mat. You can even sit up. So I really don't want you to feel constricted into having to come into whatever shape it is that I'm telling you to. This beginning of the class is really for you to feel comfortable and start to settle in to this present moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a big deep breath in, big exhale, sigh it out, and kind of just let go of everything that was going on this morning right up until this moment that we started this class. So I know some of us had a busy morning. We were figuring out the Zoom link. We were trying to get in here. We were rushing around. So we're going to let go of all that. Press pause on everything and just allow yourself to really start to come into this moment. And when you do that, you're also going to sort of let go of whatever it is you're going to be doing after this. So maybe you have a busy day ahead of you planned. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're just going to be cleaning your house. We talked about cleaning up those cobwebs. So whatever it is you're going to be doing later today, I want you to press pause on that as well, so that for this next hour, you can just be really present with yourself, with your breath, with your yoga mat. So one of the best ways that we can become present is to set an intention for our practice. So an intention is simply a word or a phrase, something that's going to help keep you grounded when your mind starts to wander, because our minds do naturally start to wander as we try not to let them wander. They still go other places. So having that intention can help bring you back. So something like finding balance, being patient with yourself, sending love to someone else. We just had a holiday of love yesterday. So maybe you're giving yourself a little self-love as your intention, or maybe you're sending that love out to someone else. So go ahead, take a moment, think about that intention. And then we're just going to take a few more breaths here on our mat before we start to move a little bit. Because this is a really important part of the class, is this time to just be still. Because for a lot of people, we don't spend a lot of time being still. We're constantly on the go. So enjoy this moment. Following that breath, each time you inhale, start to draw the breath in through your lungs, your chest. Feel your stomach expand. Almost like your stomach is a balloon. As you inhale, it's lifting. As you exhale, it's going back out. Following that breath for another round or two. And then on the next inhale, we're going to start to find a full body stretch. So your arms are going to start to reach up overhead. If you had your legs bent, you can start to straighten them and just find a big stretch, moving the fingers, the toes, kind of like you're waking up for a second time today. A little bit of side to side movement if that feels good. And then on the next inhale, the knees will start to draw in towards the body, wrapping your arms around your shins. So giving yourself a little hug here, drawing those knees in, and then making circles or rocking side to side, whatever feels comfortable. You're just going to allow the legs to move a little bit. Feeling the spine pressing down into the mat, creating that little connection with the spine and the earth beneath you. And then we're going to let the left leg come back down onto the mat. So you're going to continue to draw the right knee in towards you. Maybe hug it in a little closer, wrapping your arms around your shin, almost like you're trying to bring the knee towards the right shoulder. Hug it in nice and tight. And then you can start to take any movement here again. So just like we did with the two legs, maybe you take a couple circles or a couple rocks from side to side with that right leg. And then eventually we're going to find a twist by bringing the right leg over to the left side. So you're kind of crossing the leg over the body. It does not have to come all the way down to the ground. So it's just leaning in that left direction. Take your right shoulder, press it back down towards the mat. Again, it doesn't have to be all the way down onto the mat. It's probably lifting up a little bit. But the idea is that you're creating a twist through the body. That shoulder is relaxing, knee is relaxing. And then on the next inhale, draw that right leg back up through center. We're going to go ahead and bend the left knee, place the left foot on the mat, extend the right leg up towards the sky. And then we're going to start to raise and lower that right leg a couple times. So bringing it down, and then on the inhale, lift it back up. Go ahead and do a couple just like this. I like to point my toe as I lift my leg and then flex my foot as I bring it back down. Just taking a couple more rounds, starting to warm up the back of that leg. And then the next time the leg lifts up through center, we're going to bring our hands behind that leg, interlacing them either behind the thigh or the calf, wherever it feels comfortable, and just kind of give the leg a little bit of love. So what I mean by that is maybe you're massaging the back of the calf or the hamstring. Maybe you're bending and straightening the right leg or rolling out the ankles. Really just whatever feels good for that leg, especially when we take a class in the morning. Sometimes it takes a little longer for us to wake the body up and warm the body up. So just kind of doing whatever it is that helps that leg start to feel a little more loose. And then we're going to take the right foot, place it on the left knee. So kind of like if you were to look at your legs, you would have a little triangle shape. And then we're going to lift the left leg up off the mat, interlacing your hands behind the left thigh. Gently draw the left leg towards you. Both feet are flexed here. And as you draw that left leg towards you, you'll feel a little opening in the right hip. You can even take your right hand and gently press the right knee away from you. Sometimes I like to move a little bit, rocking side to side or bending and straightening that left leg. You always have the choice to move, or you can stay still. It's really up to you, especially in this warm-up. You want to warm up in a way that feels comfortable for you. So you decide if that means adding on a little more movement or just staying still and moving slowly. And then that left foot is going to come back down onto the mat. We're going to extend our arms wide to either side, and then just gently let your hips rock from side to side. So another little twist for the spine. Think about bringing the right foot towards the ground and then the right knee towards the ground. So sort of just going back and forth. Does not have to touch on either side. It can be a really slight movement from side to side, but just enough to feel it in the back of the body. And then as you make your way back to center, the right leg will go ahead and come back down onto the mat. You can keep that right knee bent as the left leg lifts up towards the sky. Start to draw the left leg towards you, rolling out the ankle, bending and straightening the knee, massaging the back of the left leg. All the little things we do on the other side that help start to warm that left leg up a little bit. And then before we start to move that leg, we're just going to bend the left knee and draw it in towards us because I skipped doing that on this side. So I want to make sure we hug that left knee in towards us. You can straighten the right leg if that feels comfortable, or actually, yeah, straighten it because we're going to take a twist. Okay, so you're hugging that left knee in towards you, maybe moving side to side a little bit, circling the knee, or just working on drawing that left knee towards the left shoulder. And then we'll start to find that twist. This time bringing the left knee over to the right side of the body. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, soften through the left shoulder. Maybe the foot is on the ground. So for me, my left foot is on the ground, but my knee isn't. It's lifted up in the air. But I am working on relaxing that knee, getting a nice stretch in the outside of that left hip. And then as we come back to center, we'll again bend that right knee, place the right foot on the mat, and then this time you can start to raise and lower that left foot a little bit. So as you inhale, the left leg lifts. As you exhale, draw it back down, using your breath to kind of determine the speed. So I like to inhale, lift the leg, exhale, flex the foot, draw it back down. The speed is really up to you. You can be really slow. Maybe you have a little more energy, so you find yourself going a little bit faster. That's fine. The next time the leg lifts up, go ahead and bring the hands behind the thigh or behind the shin, and then we'll start to take that left foot to the right knee. So again, making that little triangle shape if you were to look up at your legs. This time the right leg lifts up off the mat, interlacing your hands behind the right thigh, flexing through both feet. And then you kind of decide, you'll listen to that left hip. The more you draw the right leg towards you, the more you're going to feel that opening in the left hip. Just taking a couple of breaths here, breathing into any tightness that you feel. And then gently releasing the left foot. Actually, go ahead and bring the right foot to the mat. Let's take that last little twist. So go ahead and extend your arms out to either side and just rock the hips from side to side. Left knee coming towards the mat, and then left foot coming towards the mat. Take a couple rocks in either side, to either side. And then as you come back to center, that left foot can come back down to the mat. Both knees are going to draw in towards you one more time. As you bring your hands behind your thighs, your chin tucks into your chest, and we're just going to take a couple of rocks forwards and backwards until you come up to a seated position. If rocking doesn't feel good on your spine, just come right up. You don't have to take those rocks, but if it feels okay, take a couple of rocks. You'll get a little massage in the back of the body. And then as you make your way up to a seated position, you can cross those legs. If sitting flat doesn't feel comfortable on your knees, you can also slide a blanket or a pillow or some sort of thing to elevate your hips a little bit. So you have the choice to do that. As you bring your hands to your knees, take a deep breath in and see if you can sit up just a little taller. So really paying attention to that spine and the length through the back of the body. Sometimes we don't realize how much we're leaning forward, how much our shoulders are leaning forward until we start to sit up. And then you're like, wow, I just grew an inch. So see if you can grow an inch right now. And then we're just going to take a breath in and start to draw those shoulders up towards the ears. As you exhale, release them down the back. A couple more rounds just like that. Inhale, shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale, release it back. So again, moving at a speed that feels comfortable for you. Once you've taken a couple rounds forward, we'll also do the same thing backwards. So inhale as you lift them up the back, and then exhale, release it forward. And then the last time you draw the ears, so the shoulders up towards the ears, hold it for a moment. So creating that tightness, that tension, draw the shoulders up towards the ears. And then with a big exhale, let it go. Good. We're going to slowly start to roll the neck. So releasing your chin down towards your chest, gently starting to roll it to the left side as you begin to make full circles. If full circles feels comfortable, I know for everyone, some people it doesn't feel comfortable letting your head go all the way back. If that's you, you can just go from side to side. That's fine too. Rolling your ear from one shoulder, other ear to other shoulder. Bringing your hands behind the neck is an option as well. Maybe massaging the neck and upper back and shoulders. If you are making full circles, make sure you go back in the opposite direction as well. That you're even on both sides. And then once you feel like you've taken a couple circles in each direction, you'll start to lift your head back up through center. Take a breath in and reach your arms up overhead. As you exhale, the left hand is going to come to the mat to the side of you, and we're going to lean to the left side. So creating a nice long line on the right side of the body. Think about pressing down through the right hip, reaching the right fingertips. Go ahead and look under that right arm up towards the sky. And then as you inhale, lift it all the way back up. As you exhale, we'll come over to the right side. So your right hand comes down, the left fingertips are reaching this time. Take that left shoulder and see if you can dial it back a little bit. So rather than kind of folding forward like you're looking at the ground or your mat, see if you can open up to the heart and the chest so that you're kind of shining that heart up towards the sky. On the next inhale, lift it all the way back up again. This time as you exhale, we're going to start to fold forward. So bringing the hands to the ground in front of you and then slowly walking them away from you until it feels comfortable to you. And that's going to be different for everyone. Some people might be lying flat on the ground. Some people might be almost fully seated. It does not matter where you are. What matters is that you're feeling that stretch in the back of the body. And you're going to use your breath to kind of bring you a little deeper into this fold. So each time you inhale, think about lengthening through the back of the body. Each time you exhale, think about walking the fingertips just a little bit further away from you. So that breath creates space. As you inhale, you're creating space in the back of the body. As you exhale, you're folding into that space. Letting the head become heavy, hanging between the shoulders. And then slowly starting to walk the hands back towards the body as you make your way back up to a seated position. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together, coming into a butterfly pose, or some people call it cobbler's pose. And you can really decide how close your feet are towards you. You'll get a different stretch depending on how close or far away the feet are from the body. So see what feels comfortable for you. Interlace your hands under your toes, and then as you inhale, lengthen through the spine, sitting up nice and tall. As you exhale, start to draw the chest towards the toes. So think about still keeping that nice straight spine rather than rounding the back so that your head is at your toes. Maybe you lift your head up a little bit more, but keep that spine nice and straight. You can press the elbows into your shins. And then as you lift it back up, we're going to extend the right leg long. The left foot can come to the right inner thigh. Take a breath in as you reach your arms overhead. As you exhale, start to fold over that right leg. And kind of like we did when we were on our backs, you're going to just give that leg a little love. Do whatever feels good for the leg. So that might mean bending the knee a little bit, continuing to massage the back of the leg maybe it's even moving the toes or the foot a little bit. And then think about that breath. Just like when we were folding forward before, each time you inhale, you're creating space in the back of the body, maybe even sitting up a little bit on an inhale. And then as you exhale, you'll fold a little deeper each time. And then we're actually going to add some movement here. So on the next inhale, that left arm is going to come to the side of the body, kind of like behind your left hip a little bit. And you're going to press a hand into the mat, lift up your hips, reach the right arm behind you. So we're getting one straight line on the right side, feeling a big opening on the right side of the body. As you exhale, we're going to lower back down into that forward fold. Your hands can come back to your shin or your foot. Exhale into that fold. You're going to do that 2 more times with your breath. So you don't have to move with me. Move at a pace that feels comfortable. But on the next inhale, that left arm comes back behind you, presses the hips up, right fingertips reach behind you, creating that length on the inhale. And then on the exhale, fold. Maybe you fold a little bit deeper than you did the last time. And then one more time, just like that. Inhale, lift and lengthen, get nice and long on the right side. Exhale as you fold. Beautiful. On the next inhale, go ahead and lift up through the upper body again. We're going to take that left foot, place it on the outside of the right knee. So you're kind of crossing your left leg over your right leg. Your left hand is going to come to the side of your body, kind of by that left hip. As you inhale, the right arm lifts up towards the sky. You're going to twist to the left, and the right elbow is hooking onto the outside of the left knee. So you're looking over that left shoulder. A lot of lefts and rights here, so be patient with yourself. As you inhale, see if you can sit up a little taller. As you exhale, see if you can twist a little bit further, using that connection with the elbow and the knee to sort of gently draw yourself further into the twist. And then slowly you'll come back through center and then take it over to the right side just for your breath so that you can kind of unravel all of that, even out your spine a little bit. And then again, come back through center. The left leg can extend. Kind of just tap the backs of your legs on the mat a little bit, shake it out. And then we'll start to bring the right foot into the left inner thigh, flex through the left toes. Inhale as you reach the arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, fold over the left leg. Same thing as you did on the right side. Give that left leg a little bit of love. So whether that's massaging the back with the leg, bending the knee a little bit, moving with your breath. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold. You decide what feels good here for you and for that leg. And then we're going to start to take that little bit of movement again. So as you inhale, the right arm is coming behind you this time towards that right hip. You're pressing the hips up. Left hand reaches behind you, so straight line on the left side of the body. Exhale, fold back over that left leg. And we'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, right hand comes behind you, press the hips up, lengthen to the left side of the body. Exhale as you fold back over that left leg. One last time, inhale as you lift and lengthen. Exhale as you fold. And then slowly starting to lift back up through the upper body. This time we'll take the right foot to the outside of the left knee. We're going to come into that little twisty one again. So your right hand is coming to the side of the body by the right hip. Inhale to lift the left arm up. And then slowly start to turn to the right as you hook the left elbow on the outside of the right knee. Take a breath in and see if you can sit up a little taller. Exhale, see if you can twist a little deeper. Think about twisting through the whole spine. So rather than just turning your head as far as you can so that you're looking really far over your right shoulder, see if you can start that twist from the base of the spine. Good. And then slowly coming back through center, we'll take it over to the left side just to sort of bring it out, unravel, and then back through center. Extend both legs long, kind of tap the backs of your legs on the mat a little bit, and then we're going to find a tabletop position. So we're going to come onto our hands and our knees. Go ahead and take a moment to set yourself up. So your knees are below your hips, your wrists are below your shoulders. So you're making that tabletop shape. Your back is nice and flat. That's the table part. From here, we'll start to move through a couple rounds of cat and cow. So on the inhale, your stomach presses down towards the ground. Your gaze goes up towards the sky. As you exhale, round the back. Press the ground away from you. This is kind of that angry cat back. And you're going to take a couple more rounds just like that. Inhale, stomach presses down, gaze goes up. Exhale, round the back. You can continue moving just like this, up and down, or you can add on. Some people like to rock their hips from side to side, shake their head, yes or no, make circles. It doesn't matter exactly what the movement is. What matters is that you're starting to warm up the spine. You're starting to connect your breath to your movements. So go ahead and just take a couple more rounds, moving in a way that feels most comfortable to you. And then once you finish the round that you're on, we'll come back through that neutral back. You're going to extend your right leg long behind you. Keep the right toes tucked on the mat. Your toes are touching the mat. You're going to press back through the heel and then press yourself forward using the toes. So it's just a gentle movement. You're pressing back and then you're pressing forward. But you should be feeling a stretch in the bottom of the foot. Maybe the toes are getting a little massage. You'll probably feel it in the back of your leg as well, but focus on stretching that foot. Really important to stretch our feet all the time, but definitely in the winter when we're kind of just putting our feet in shoes and not really letting them work much. So as you come back through center, we're going to lift that right leg up off the mat so that it's parallel to the ground. As you inhale, the right knee is going to draw towards the nose, rounding the back. And then extend the leg long. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, knee to nose. Think about giving that knee a little kiss. Exhale, extend it long. 1 more time. Inhale, knee to nose. Exhale, extend it long. Pause here. The left foot is going to slide off the mat a little bit, kind of off to the left side of your mat. Looks like you're making a little kickstand for yourself. We're going to come into a modified side plank. So the inside of the right foot is coming down to the mat, and then the right hand is going to lift up off the mat. Think about reaching the right fingertips to the top of your mat. So one long line on the right side of the body, similar to when we just pressed ourselves up a couple moments ago. So you're pressing your right hip up, feeling that stretch on the right side. See if you can reach the fingertips a little bit further. And then if it feels comfortable, you can make circles with that right arm. Really big circles, as big as it feels comfortable, getting into that shoulder, using your full range of motion, taking a couple circles in one direction and a couple in the other direction. And then we'll slowly start to close that back off, bringing the right hand back to the mat, the right knee back to the mat. You kind of shake it out a little bit, give your hips a break. And then we'll go ahead and extend the left side, keeping those toes tucked first so that we get that little foot stretch, pressing back through the left hip, or the left heel, I'm sorry, and then press yourself forward. So a couple of rounds just like that, stretching through the bottom of the foot and the back of the leg. And then as you come back through center, that left leg will lift. Take a breath in, draw the left knee to the nose, round the back. Exhale, extend it long. 2 more times. Inhale, knee to nose, round the back. Exhale, extend it long. 1 last time, knee to nose. Exhale, extend long. Pause here. Right foot slides off the mat this time. So your right foot is becoming that little kickstand. The inner arch of the left foot comes down to the mat. And then that left arm starts to lift up. Think about bringing the left shoulder towards your ear. Reach the left hand overhead. So really getting as long as we can on the left side of the body. And then if you made those circles on the other side and they felt good, go ahead and circle that left arm as big as you can, using all the mobility that you have in that left shoulder, taking a couple circles in one direction and a couple back in the other. And then once you're feeling even on both sides, we'll start to close it off by bringing the left hand back down to the mat, the left knee back down to the mat. You can shake the hips out a little bit as you come back to your tabletop. And then we're going to find our first downward facing dog. So your toes will tuck, your legs will straighten, your hips go up and back, and you're just going to move here a little bit. So what I mean by that is any little movements that feel good. You can pick your hip heels up and then press them back down. You can bend your knees and then straighten them. Rock your hips from side to side. So it doesn't matter how many times you've done downward facing dog in your life. The first time you come into it in a day or in your practice, it feels a little bit different. Sometimes it's stiff, sometimes you feel uncomfortable. So moving will help. Moving will help you start to settle back in. On the next inhale, we're going to roll it out into a plank position. You might notice that you have to adjust a little bit. That's okay. So shoulders are over the wrists, tailbone is tucked under, and then we're going to bring our knees to the mat. From here, you're going to slowly lower yourself all the way down onto your stomach. So think about keeping your elbows hugged in towards your body. The slower you go, the more you're going to feel it in those arms. So you decide how slow you go until you're all the way down on your stomach. We're going to lift up into a baby cobra. So for a baby cobra, your upper body, your shoulders are going to start to lift. Your hands are also lifting. So you're not pressing your hands into the mat. Think about keeping those fingertips a couple inches up off the mat. And then your gaze is pretty much straight in front of you. You don't need to strain your neck to look up towards the sky. Just think about looking forward. We're getting a little gentle stretch in the back. From here, we're going to make our way into a child's pose. So go ahead and press your hands back into the mat. Your hips lift up and back. Your toes can be together. Your knees are a little bit apart as you settle into your child's pose any way that feels comfortable for you. So maybe your hands are reaching towards the top of your mat. Maybe you're stacking your hands on top of each other with your forehead resting on the back of your hands. You can also bring your fingertips to the side of your body so that they're kind of next to your toes. That'll take some of the pressure off your shoulders. If child's pose ever feels like too much on your shoulders, bring your arms to the sides of your body. So once you've taken a breath, we're going to slowly walk the fingertips back to the top of the mat if they weren't there already, as you begin to make your way back into a downward facing dog. So your toes will tuck, your hips start to press up and back, your knees start to straighten, and maybe you continue to move here a little bit. Maybe you're still pedaling out those heels, bending and straightening the knees. So the heels are working their way towards the mat. They don't have to be touching. My heels never touch the mat, and that's okay. But that's the direction that they're kind of working their way in. Maybe yours are touching. That's great too. On the next inhale, roll it back out into a plank position. Tucking that tailbone, engaging that core. Just like we did before, we're going to bring our knees to the mat. Slowly, with control, lower yourself all the way down onto your stomach. This time you have the option for your cobra. If you want to press your hands into the mat and lift up a little higher, you can, but just be mindful of your back. So if you like that baby cobra, go ahead and do that again with the fingertips off the mat. If you're pressing your hands into the mat, just be mindful that you're not going higher than your back wants you to go. So just listening to that back, relaxing the shoulders. If you're finding that your shoulders are all the way towards your ears, you might need to lower yourself down a little bit so that you can relax the shoulders a little bit more. And then we're going to press it back into one more child's pose. So go ahead and press your hands into the mat. Hips come back to the heels. Same options in your child's pose if you keep those fingertips towards the top of the mat or find one of those other variations if those felt more comfortable to you. And we're just going to take 3 more breaths here. Focusing on that breath. Also thinking about that intention that you set. Sometimes we get a little bit into our yoga class and we completely forget the intention that we set, and that's okay. But these times where we start to slow down a little bit are great opportunities to come back to that. From here, we're going to slowly start to make our way back to a downward facing dog. So the hips will lift, the toes tuck, your legs start to straighten as you find that downward facing dog again. From here, we're going to look towards our hands and then come to a forward fold at the top of your mat. So you're going to take a bunch of tiny little steps until your feet are at the top of your mat. Your feet can be about hips width distance or 2 or 3 fists width apart. They don't need to be right together. Your knees can be as bent as it feels comfortable for you. And then we're just going to take this forward fold any way that feels good. So holding on to opposite elbows is an option. Bringing your hands behind your head, kind of drawing the head towards the earth. Maybe you're moving a little bit, rocking from side to side like a rag doll. Maybe your hands are behind your legs and you're sort of drawing your chest towards you or towards your legs. And then on the next inhale, we're going to slowly lift it all the way up, going nice and slow so you don't make yourself dizzy as you reach your arms overhead, maybe a little back bend if that feels comfortable. And then our hands are going to come to heart center. Good. Go ahead and step your feet together if they aren't already. We had that little space in there before, so go ahead and bring your big toes together. And then we're going to reach the arms back up overhead. You're going to interlace your hands and then press your palms up towards the sky. So the palms are reaching up towards the ceiling. Take your breath in as you lift up. As you exhale, you're going to lean to the left side. So we're getting another stretch on the right side of the body. Lots of side stretches here today. Looking under that right arm. And then as you lift up through center, take it over to the right side so that we're getting that same deep stretch on the left side of the body. Left shoulder rolls back as you look under the left arm. And then on the next inhale, come back up through center. As you exhale, you're going to take a big swan dive down, so a big forward fold all the way back down. Your hands are going to come to your shins as you inhale, and you're going to lift up halfway. So think about flattening your back as you inhale. As you exhale, you're going to fold again. On the next inhale, lift it all the way back up to standing. Reach your arms overhead, maybe a little back bend, and then hands come to heart center. I'm going to take that little sequence one more time. So inhaling, reaching the arms overhead. Exhale, big swan dive down, forward fold. Inhale, hands come to shins, flattening out your back. Exhale, folding into your forward fold, maybe a little deeper. Inhale as you lift it all the way up, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good. So from here, if you're not at the top of your mat, go ahead and shift so that you're at the top of your mat. We're going to reach our arms back up overhead on an inhale. We're going to fold it forward again on an exhale. This time you're going to bend your knees as much as you need so that your hands can come to the mat. You're going to step the left foot all the way to the back of the mat. So you can either take one giant step or a couple smaller steps, however you need to move to get into that low lunge shape. So the left foot is at the back of the mat. The right foot is at the top of the mat. Your left hand is going to plant down on the mat, nice and firm. And then the right hand is going to lift up towards the sky. So we're coming into a twist. As you look towards that right hand, rolling open through the shoulder, taking your knees towards your fingertips. And then slowly bringing that right hand back down to the mat. We're going to lower down through the left knee, untuck those toes, and then as you exhale, you're going to press the hips back, folding over that right leg. You're kind of straightening your right leg here, pressing the hips behind you. And then we're going to start to move a little bit. So on the next inhale, you're going to rebend that right knee, press the hips down. Think about pressing the left hip down towards the mat, and you're lifting up through the upper body as much as you can. And we're going to continue with that little flow. So as you exhale, send your hips back, folding over that right leg. Inhale, rebend the leg, press the hips down. So the idea is that you're warming up through the hip. Go ahead and do this a couple more times at a speed that feels comfortable for you. You even have the option to pause in either position. So if you're here and this feels really good and you want to stay, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, continue to move a little bit, warming up that hip. And then the next time you come forward, we'll all start to find some stillness. So we're coming into a crescent lunge, or Anjaneyasana, it's called in Sanskrit. So your hands are either going to lift up to your knee, so you're pressing up through your upper body. You also have the option to reach your arms overhead. Sometimes when we lift our arms overhead, all of a sudden our hips dial way back and we come up here. So if you're noticing that's happening, keeping your hands on your knee will help give you that deeper stretch in that left hip, which is really what we're trying to get here. So you can kind of decide where your hands are best suited for you. Either way, you're opening up through the front of the body. And then we're all going to slowly bring our hands back to frame out that right foot. Let's tuck the left toes, straighten that back leg. We're going to come back to a forward fold. So just like when we got here, maybe you take a couple steps until that left foot comes back to the right. Maybe you take one giant step. However you get the leg there is fine. Let's bring our hands to our shins. Take that little halfway lift, straightening out the back. Exhale as you fold. Inhale as you lift it all the way up. Reach the arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. We'll take the same thing on the other side. So as you inhale, the arms lift up. As you exhale, dive it down, forward folds. Putting that little bend in your knees so you can bring your hands to the mat. This time the right foot is going to step back. So we're keeping the left foot at the top of the mat, coming to that low lunge or runner's lunge shape. Once you're here, and this is a challenging step back. So if you need to kind of readjust and set yourself up, that's okay. It's not an easy step. That's a big step we're taking. So the right hand is coming to the ground. Left arm is going to lift up. We're finding that twist. Take your gaze towards the left hand. Think about pressing that left shoulder behind you so that you're really opening up through the front of the body and the chest. And then gently placing that left hand back down on the mat. Right knee comes down as you untuck the toes, pressing the top of the right foot into the mat. And then as you send those hips back, the left leg will straighten. And just like you did on the other side, go ahead and take a couple of rounds. Pressing the hips forward, opening up through the front of the body as you inhale. As you exhale, send the hips back. A couple more rounds, moving with your breath. And then the next time you come forward, your hips will press forward. Same option as you had on the other side. Your hands can either come to your knees to help you start to lift up through that upper body, or the hands can start to reach up towards the sky. Whichever one feels most comfortable to you, that's the one you'll do. Wherever your hands are, you can start to look up a little bit, relax the shoulders, smile here. And then gently bringing your hands back to frame out that left foot. We'll tuck the right toes, straighten that back leg. And again, you're going to come back to that forward fold. So one giant step or a couple smaller steps until you're back at the top of your mat in a forward fold. Bringing your hands to your shins as you inhale, straighten the back. As you exhale, fold. And then on the next inhale, all the way up, reach the arms overhead. And hands come to heart center. Good. We're going to come into a balance, a tree pose. So if you find that your mat is really squishy and it helps to step off your mat, you can do that. You can also come so that you're closer to a wall if that will help you. So those are some options available to you. Our left foot is going to become our standing leg. So you're going to find a nice firm foundation with that left foot. Your right foot is going to come just into the inner ankle of your left foot. So kind of like your right toes are still on the mat. Your hands are at heart center. Here is your first option for tree. And you can stay right here if this feels good. If you want to lift that right leg up some more, the right foot can come to either your inner shin or skip over your knee and come to your inner thigh. So either above or below that knee, kind of use your hand to adjust it a little bit. If you're by a wall, you want the wall on your left side, either your shoulder can be resting on the wall or just have it close enough that you can kind of reach your hand out for it if you need it. Just knowing it's there can sometimes be helpful. And then taking any variation you like with your hands. So maybe that's keeping them right here at heart center. Maybe it's reaching that prayer pose overhead or even opening it up a little bit. Maybe your tree is swaying in the wind. Whatever feels comfortable and fun and playful, then go ahead and do that. If your arms are lifted overhead, we'll slowly start to bring them back down. And then gently that right foot will also come back down to the mat. And you can kind of shake out your standing leg. You can also take a little forward fold. Sometimes that helps the lower back. Lower back can feel a little tight when you come into these balances. So shaking it out a little bit will help. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So your right foot is going to become your standing leg. That left foot can start right there at that inner ankle. So the left toes are still on the mat. And then you decide. If you're adding on, go ahead and add on. If this feels good, stay here. Each side is going to be different. So just because you were able to do something on one side, don't expect to do it on the other. One side might be a little more challenging than the other. And then different days are also more challenging than others. So it just depends. I did it yesterday. I can't do it today. That's okay. You'll do it again tomorrow. So finding whatever variation you like with your hands. It can help if you look at something that's not moving, something small, like maybe a light switch or an outlet or something, to kind of keep your focus on. 2 more breaths here. You need to tap that foot down and lift it back up again. That's okay. If you do that 5 times, that's good. Keep coming back into it. And then we'll slowly bring our hands back to heart center. That left foot can gently come back down to the mat. And same thing as you did on the other side. Shake out your standing leg, maybe a little forward fold to relieve any tension that might have been in the lower back. And then you'll gently start to make your way back to the top of your mat. On an inhale, the arms will lift up overhead. As you exhale, big swan dive down, forward fold. So we're going to step it back to a downward facing dog. So go ahead and take a bunch of steps or one giant step, however you need to get there so that those feet are at the back of the mat and you're back in your downward facing dog. And then we're just going to come to a tabletop position from here. So bringing your knees back down onto the mat, finding that nice flat spine, maybe a little round of cat and cow to kind of move through the spine a little bit. Hips can rock from side to side, head can shake a little bit. Good. And then we're going to start to come into our pigeon pose. So for our pigeon pose, we did this on our back already, right at the beginning of class. And you can actually do it on your back again if you prefer it to your stomach, but we'll come into it on our stomach for now. So your right knee is going to come behind your right wrist. So kind of like you're placing that right knee right behind your right wrist. Your left leg is going to start to extend long behind you. Think about pressing the top of the left foot into the mat. Your right foot is kind of near that left hip, so it's sort of crossing across the body a little bit, flexing through that right foot. The idea is that you're even on both hips, so you're probably noticing that you're leaning to the right side a lot. We want to shift a little bit, and that might even mean lifting up off the mat so that your hips are square. If you find that you are lifting up off the mat, you can slide a blanket or a pillow or some sort of prop under that right hip to kind of create that even height. Take a breath in, opening up through the front of the body. And then as you exhale, you're going to slowly start to lower the upper body down, coming to your elbows first. And maybe you stay here. Maybe this feels like enough. Or maybe eventually you start to lower a little bit further. If your head is close to the mat, you can stack your fists on top of each other, resting your forehead on the back of your hands. If you have a block or some books or something and you want to rest your head on those things, you can do that. You can even bend your elbows and kind of rest your chin in your palms. So something to rest your head on, whatever it is, so that you can relax through the shoulders and the upper back. And we're going to hold this for about 5 more breaths. And this isn't always the most comfortable pose for people, but it's important. It helps us stretch out those hips a little bit. And I'm sure get tight for everyone, but especially for those of you riding horses, I'm sure getting into the hips is really beneficial. And then we're just going to slowly start to walk the hands back towards the body. So you're pressing up through the upper body. We're going to make our way back to that tabletop by sliding the right knee back to meet the left. You can kind of rock the hips out, a little cat and cow if that feels good. Ground the spine, kind of shake it out before you start to make your way onto the other side. So when you're ready to get into your pigeon on the left side, that left knee will start to slide behind the left wrist. That right foot will start to kind of walk away from the body a little bit, press the top of the right foot into the mat, flex through the left foot. Sometimes I like to rock my hips from side to side a little bit. That kind of helps me find that even weight on both sides. You feel like you're leaning to the left a lot, so you can press down to the right hip a little more. And then as you inhale, lift up through the front of the body. As you exhale, start to walk those hands away from you, lowering down onto your elbows. And then eventually finding whatever it is you're going to rest your head on. Maybe it's the palms, maybe it's stacking your fists. You could even have a pillow or a blanket in front of you and just rest that head on whatever it is you have available to you. And again, we'll take those 5 breaths. And then just gently starting to walk your hands back towards you as you begin to press up through the upper body. One last time, back to our tabletop position. That left knee will slide to meet the right knee. Little cat and cow or a little shake of the hips, whatever feels good for you. And then we're all going to make our way into a seated position. So go ahead and lower yourself down with your legs extended long in front of you towards the top of your mat. Maybe even a little bit off so that when we roll back in a moment, you don't completely roll off the mat. You want your head on the mat at least. Go ahead and grab a sip of water or anything you might need, maybe socks or a sweater, so that when we eventually end our practice, you feel really comfortable with where you are. So on the next inhale, go ahead and reach your arms up overhead. As you exhale, we're going to take a forward fold here. Your hands can come to your shins, to your toes, to the mat. I still have a little bend in my knees now. You can definitely keep that bend in your knees, or maybe your legs start to straighten at this point. Spine can be lengthening on the inhale and then folding on the exhale. And then on the next inhale, we'll slowly start to lift it all the way back up. You're going to extend your arms out in front of you, and then engaging the core, one vertebrae at a time, we'll lower ourselves all the way down onto your back, taking a big full body stretch once you get there, reaching your arms overhead, big inhale. And then as you exhale, your hands can come to the sides of your body, so you can gently rest those hands on the mat. We're going to bend our knees, bringing your feet to the base of the spine. As we start to set up for a bridge pose, a little back bend. So on the next inhale, the hips are going to slowly start to peel up off the mat, like you're pressing those hips up towards the sky. You can continue to press your hands into the earth, into your mat, or you can kind of wiggle your shoulders under you a little bit, and then interlace your hands under your tailbone. So whichever feels more comfortable to you. Having those hands interlaced under the body is a slightly more challenging variation. Whichever one feels good is totally fine. You're still getting that back bend either way. So focus on pressing those hips up. The legs are engaged, but also relaxed, if that makes sense. So you're not letting your legs just kind of flop out to the side. They're strong, but you're also kind of relaxing through the legs and the glutes. And then slowly, one vertebrae at a time, you can start to peel that spine back down onto the mat really slowly. Once your tailbone touches, just let your knees kind of rock from side to side, like your little windshield wipers almost. Should feel good on your spine. And then we're going to start to draw our knees back in towards us, wrapping your arms around your shins, just like we did at the beginning of class. Give yourself a little hug, lifting your head up towards the knees. Placing your head back down on the mat. You can rock from side to side or make some circles. And then we're going to come into an inversion, which is basically just getting your feet up above your head and your heart by lifting your feet up towards the sky. So reaching those feet up, kind of like you're trying to step on the ceiling. Your hands can either be behind your thighs to kind of support the legs, or you can also sit on your hands, whichever feels more comfortable for you. Either way, it's going to make it a little more accessible than if you were just kind of reaching those feet up without the support. So the hands kind of assist you a little bit. And we're just going to take about 3 or 4 more breaths here. Allowing that blood to sort of move through the legs a little more easily, creating that, creates relaxation in the body by coming into an inversion, actually. It starts to tap into your parasympathetic nervous system and creates calmness in your body just by going upside down. And then we're going to slowly start to draw the knees back in towards us. You can wrap your arms around the legs one more time. Give yourself that little hug. Then we're going to take a twist by bringing your arms out to either side of you. The knees are just going to release over to the right side. Really comfortable, really casual. So just kind of letting those knees land where they want to. That left shoulder is going to press down towards the mat as well. Probably lifting up a little bit, but see if you can dial that left shoulder back down. Your gaze is either up towards the ceiling or you're looking off to the left in the opposite direction of your knees. That'll make that twist even deeper, so you can decide if you're looking up or bringing that left ear towards the mat. And then eventually you can either start to close your eyes or just let your vision kind of go out of focus, essentially. So you're not really focusing on anything. It becomes a little blurry, just sort of softening that gaze. And then on the next inhale, we'll slowly start to bring the knees back through center and take it over to the left side, coming back into that twist on the other side. You can even bring a hand to the top of the leg, gently massaging that leg if that feels comfortable. And then again, on the next inhale, the knees slowly come back through center. Your feet can be on the mat with the knees bent. As you slowly start to transition into your final pose of the morning, into your Shavasana, and you get to decide where that is. So if you want to come into a traditional Shavasana with your legs extended long, go ahead and straighten those legs, taking up as much space as you need. Maybe you extend your arms really wide. Maybe your feet come a little further apart. But just like we started class, you have the option to choose other shapes as well. So for some people, keeping their knees bent feels more comfortable. You can have your feet on the mat with your knees bent. You can turn onto your side. You can come back up to a seated position. It does not matter where your body is shape-wise. It can be wherever feels best to you. So once you find that shape that feels best, you're going to close your eyes if they're not closed already. And just start to let your breath move more freely through the body. So no longer paying attention to your inhales and exhales. Just let yourself breathe in a way that feels comfortable and natural. Let your body start to become heavy. So what I mean by that is completely letting go, surrendering, almost like you're melting into your mat or floating on top of your mat, whichever visual you like, but just completely letting go, feeling the back of the head releasing into the earth, the shoulders softening, feeling your body fully supported by the earth beneath you. We'll just take a couple moments here in the stillness, in Shavasana. Eventually, I will bring you back. Slowly starting to deepen your breath. Just gently starting to bring your awareness back to your body, moving your fingers, your toes, your wrists, and your ankles. Just starting to take any stretches that feel good, maybe bending or straightening your knees, depending on where your legs were. Maybe reaching the arms overhead if that feels comfortable. We're all going to slowly start to make our way onto our right side. So gently just turning onto your side, almost in a fetal position with your knees bent and your head resting on your arm. You're just going to take these last few moments here on your mat to say thank you to yourself for taking the time out of your day, making this commitment to you, to do something that's so good for you, because we have to take care of ourselves first, so we kind of fill up our cups so that we can go back out into the world and do all the things we need to do and take care of all the people we need to care for or animals we need to care for. But it's important that you start with yourself. So give yourself a little bit of love for making that commitment to you. Whenever you're ready, you can slowly start to make your way back up to a seated position, gently lifting yourself up. The eyes can stay closed or you can close them once you arrive, and then bring your hands back to heart center. I'm so grateful for all of you for joining me virtually, for bringing your light and your energy and sharing it. We can feel it even if we're not all physically together. I hope you have the most beautiful day ahead and a wonderful week. Till I see you all again. Namaste. Thank you all for joining. I think we're
muted.
Yeah, Chrissy is still muted.
So I didn't know if she stopped recording.
No, I
Don't say anything in case you were still recording.
Oh, let me stop recording. Hold on.